So you may or may not be able to tell because my camera only has a rear LCD screen and I can't tell what you're seeing right now. I have a suet and a hummingbird feeder on the outside of my window here, and I sit right there to edit videos, and all the time I see hummingbirds and woodpeckers come into the window. But I can never grab the camera in time to get video, so I figured I'll just print them out for the GoPro. So let's design one.
Alright, so in typical Midwestern fashion, I'm going to take this design by All City Maker here at Thingiverse, and I'm going to remix it and call it my own. It's a hot shoe mount for a GoPro adapter for a DSLR camera, but we're just going to use it because they have the tolerances set correctly for the GoPro mount. So basically just cutting the end off, putting a block in, making it stand out a little bit more, a little bit higher, then group those two together at a later date. So grouping in Tinkercad will let you kind of get away with some stuff, but it's making it a little larger there, putting a little support on the bottom for a screw to mount a fastener to it, making a little bit more support with that wedge in there. And then we're gonna have to duplicate that, cut off the excess so it's a nice smooth pattern. Then we gotta put in a adjustment for a screw, and then put an additional larger what you call it there, yeah, that thing, recess. So then after that we're gonna throw it in Simplify 3D, and right away gonna notice we got a bit of a problem. You can see about 3 lines here. Those indicate that those layers aren't fused together. So Tinkercad does this sometimes, even though the model might look really nice in Tinkercad itself. Sometimes there's an issue that doesn't really get resolved until you put it into a slicer. So the STL, although it looks like it's one solid object, there wasn't enough overlap between those two pieces to actually make it overlap. So when you end up printing, you get these two kind of stable bases, and they won't print as one solid layer. So that becomes a problem with adhesion. Those two blocks then won't be one solid layer. So we're gonna have to go back in to Tinkercad and fix that. So with Tinkercad, you can see here, I'll be moving it over and overlapping it. So theoretically, any little bit of overlap in between those two parts should be fine. And when you group it, it should be one large STL instead of multiple pieces like we just saw in Simplify 3D. But for some reason, if you don't overlap it enough, it'll still indicate that it's 3 different pieces instead of one large object. So I'm just in here messing around a little bit, trying to get it to work, trying to get everything grouped, and then putting in for the fastener, group it again, throw it back into Simplify 3D, see if we got any problems. And right away you can notice that same little bit of a problem from the wedge to the main body of the piece. Still not going to have enough adhesion there, so we're gonna have to go back in and fix that again. So once again, back into Tinkercad, trying to get it to work. So I know that the major problem is right there, so I moved the wedge back just a little bit, and now when you actually slice it, you can see it's all one large component, and that's about all we have to do. I tried to think about doing some support on here. I had the spool of PETG in the printer, and it's really kind of syrupy, and so I was messing around with settings, and by the end of it I just said, I'll just use a PLA in which I don't need supports. So time lapse. I'm actually really impressed with how these prints turned out. This is just no-name cheap PLA from eBay, and it prints like $1 million. The suction cups are just off of some bird feeders from the store. They were $3. Ended up getting 2 suction cups, so it's a win-win situation. The mount turned out to work pretty well, holds the GoPro vertical, and it gives you this footage you're about to see. So if you like the video, please consider subscribing and maybe give me a thumbs up. Alright, I'll see you on the next one.